Welcome back to your 10-Minute Executive Coach. I'm Paul Burke with Business Acceleration. This channel is dedicated to those men and women who lead. Whether you lead a small, medium, or large team, this channel is dedicated to you to help provide you with the tools you can use to help your organization succeed. Now, as always, the tools we provide on the 10-Minute Executive Coach are practical, relevant, and fast. Practical meaning that it does not take a lot of resources to implement them in your organization. Relevant, you're going to get it, and your people will get it. And fast, we can make an impact quickly within an organization. You can implement these quickly and shift your organization's culture in days and weeks versus weeks, months, and maybe years. Now, we're coming into episode 5, and just a quick refresh. Episodes 1, 2, and 3, we set our structure for our leadership team. Episode 4, we began the work on creating clarity within our organization, where we asked, why do we exist and what do we do? Two more simple questions. Today, in episode 5, we're going to ask a really important question. That is, how do we behave? Or what is our core values? Now, this can be done in many different ways, but really the critical issue I wanted to start now is this is about who we are, not who we want to be, not who we used to be, but who we are. I want to make sure when you're working with your leadership team, we try not to get into our core values creating an advertisement or a great catchy phrase. We're trying to find 3 to maximum 5 core values that truly define what your organization is, what it's like to work there, what it's like to work with you, who you are, how you behave, and that is so clear. Once we do this, and as I said before with clarity, is making sure your leadership team is 100% aligned. Once you're 100% aligned around your core values, this is the tool you use to hire, fire, train, promote all of the human aspects we deal with in our businesses. When we partner with other organizations, are they aligned with our core values? What are core values? These are literally 3 to 5 fundamental behaviors that describe our organization. I want to make sure these are not just words and statements. And how do we come up and how do we find what these are? Kind of like the sculpture. They got a block of marble. They say the statue is already there. I'm just recovering it. And that's what you want to do with your leadership team. How do you do it? How do we find core values? What are they? Some people said a core value is something you'll do to excess that may get you in a little trouble. Humor, for one. We're a very humorous organization. You can tell jokes that get you in trouble. Let's look at one of the tools I initially do to get my teams, when I'm working with a leadership team, to get them around their core values. And that first exercise is go around the room and everyone put a list of 3 people. And hopefully they're at the organization or have worked at that organization in the past. That if you could legally clone them, you could take over the world. I want you to put down, everyone in the room, put down 3 people's names that they lived it, they drove it. Again, if we could clone them, we could take over the world. And then we go around the room and everyone tell us, Mary, Jeff, Sue, Carol, Mike, Bob. Start getting the names and you start seeing names that pop up multiple times by multiple people. This is one of the best tools. You'll sit down and say, boy, Mike popped up in everyone's question. So did Sue. Okay. And then a couple of you had some different people. We'll go into that. But let's take those 2 and tell me, why did you say this person, what about this person? What behavior did she show that you believe that if you cloned her, you'd take over the world? Boom. And it could be her drive. It could be her education, the technical skills that are so smart, whatever it may be. And we start defining what wins, what kind of culture we love in our organization, where our winners are. And this is a great tool. This usually starts washing out what our culture is, not too long down the road. The other part I like to take each one of my leadership teams. Okay, now we've done that. We get some positive stuff. We've learned some core values that fit and make us win. All right, I want you to come up with maybe 2 people who you believe if they exited the company now, we'd be better off. Or somebody who has left the company in the past, that the company is better off that they're gone. The organization is better off that they're gone. These are going to come up with some of the anti-core values or the behaviors that don't fit within this organization. Very helpful tool. Now we've done this exercise, those core values are starting to come in. Caution, you want to make sure your core values aren't permission to play. We're honest. Well, yeah, hopefully everyone is. That's kind of permission to play. We have integrity. Well, yeah, if you don't, you're going to end up in jail. It's stay away from those things that are really permission to play. Now, I'll be honest, I owned a construction final cleaning company in the commercial trades. And one of our core values was integrity, which on the surface is kind of a permission to play. But within that trade, our leadership team, we spent a lot of time arguing this. We were different than other construction final cleaning companies because they didn't have a lot of integrity. It was one of those trades that was kind of snaky and didn't work the right shifts and had people that weren't paid. It was an issue in the industry, and we were trying to elevate that to a real trade on the construction site. So integrity did hold up, and it did make us different. So be careful not to bring those ones that are permission to play. And 2, make sure that these core values are not aspirational. As I said earlier, core value is who you are, not who you want to be. It is wonderful to set goals. But I've had a client say, well, we've made the core values, set them all up, everything's been communicated, and they got a new board and they said, hey, your core values need to be a leader in technology. They came back and they wanted to change their core values. Like, are you a leader in the technology? No, we follow. That's not a core value. That's an aspiration. Great goal. Let's set it as a goal for the next year or 2 to become more of a leader within the technology of your industry. It is not a core value. Some say, we want to be integrity, we're straightforward, and they're not. The culture, make sure it is. The other thing to do here is once you've worked through that aspect of finding what these core values are, we need to test them to make sure, yes, they are actually core values of our organization. And I do that first with the leadership team. If you have 3, maybe 5 core values, I want everyone in the room to score everyone else in the room on how they live the core values. Take core value 1, it may be drive, whatever it may be, that core value may be. And everyone in the room rates everyone else. And it could be a plus, means they live it all the time. Minus, they don't live it, maybe 75% of the time. But if they're living it between 75 and 90% of the time, you may say plus minus. Give them a rate, A, B, C, however you want to do it. But you want to look and make sure, because if you just get done with your leadership team and realize that, wow, when it comes to drive, none of us are plus on this. That's not a real core value. It might be an aspiration. We want to tell everyone we have a lot of drive, but that's not our culture. Exacting, whatever it may be. So that is a perfect way to test those core values to make sure before you leave the room with them that they are core values of your organization. They're being lived by your leadership team on a day-to-day basis. Once you've done that, you've solidified these core values, everyone's feeling good, this is great. Now what do we do with them? Go print a t-shirt? No. What you want to do is you need to communicate this to your organization. Now, we did a lot of work on making sure they are actually who we are, because if you take core values out to your organization and they're aspirational or permission to play, you're going to get the BS factor. They're just not going to buy it. Remember, we said we want to take these core values, and they are critical in how we hire, how we fire, how we promote, who we partner with. these are our core values. These are the organizations we partner with. They need to be aligned. These are the people we hire. This tells someone in the interview process. When you share your core values, I don't want to work in an organization like that. Great. They deselect your organization before you get into trouble. So I always like to have my executives come up with a core value speech. And that is everyone on that team, pretty similar speech. The president can write it, CEO can write this core value speech. But really, in a nutshell, not an hour speech, please, but something quick that talks about these core values, these 3 to 5 core values, what they mean, what they look like in practice, and even a little bit of what they don't look like, a little of the anti-value. That core value speech needs to be drawn up, needs to be said constantly. And usually, again, we'll take the president or the head honcho person, and she has to draw up this core value speech. Everyone work on it. Make sure it's very clear so when it's given to the team, our partners, they get it. That core value speech is extremely valuable to get these core values out. Core values are not something we draw up, pat ourselves on the back, put it on a poster, and ignore it till later. That core value speech, once it's done, every one of these leaders needs to be repeating that often. And I like to ask my executives to become chief reminding officers. Keep saying it. It has to get to the point where everybody in the organization is very clear on what the core values are, how they live them, and have permission to call people out who do not live up to those core values. That's what we're talking about today. In creating clarity, it's how do we behave, or what are our core values? Quick reminder, these are actual how we are, not aspirational and not permission to play. Once they're defined, get them out, get them to your team, repeat yourself often, and give everyone in your organization the permission to call anybody else out for not living up to those core values. That will cement them throughout your organization. You will use these core values in how you hire, how you fire, how you promote, how you train, where you partner. Creating clarity is critical. And remember what I said before, the most important step here is this leadership team must be fully aligned. Thanks for sticking by. Have a great day and lead well.